Evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town Board of the Town of Ossining meeting for Tuesday, March 24th, 2020. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, to be followed by a moment of silence for all those we have lost and who are suffering from coronavirus. I'm going to stand up, and here's our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
Now a moment of silence. Thank you, everyone. So, as you know, this is our very first video conference meeting. My name's Dana Levenberg. I'm the town supervisor. I don't have my little Dana Levenberg, and so in case you didn't know who I was. In light of the current outbreak of COVID-19 and pursuant to Governor Cuomo's Executive Order 202.1, dated March 12th, 2020, we've decided that the best and safest option available to us currently is to hold legislative sessions via video conferencing for the first time, at least for the time being, rather. And that being said, tonight we had previously noticed a public hearing on our agenda, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. If we could just have the roll call, please, from our town clerk.
Councilwoman Philman.
Present.
Councilwoman Shaw.
Present.
Councilman Meyer.
Present.
Councilman Wiltshire.
Present.
Supervisor Levenberg.
I'm here.
Okay. All accounted for. All right.
So let's go to the public hearing in the matter of a 2020 cabaret license renewal for Club Fit at 584 North State Road in Briarcliff Manor, New York 10510. So we had previously noticed this public hearing on our agenda for this cabaret license, and given that all gyms and fitness centers have been closed by executive order from Governor Cuomo, and that this is our maiden voyage with the Zoom meeting, we are going to ask to adjourn this public hearing until we can ensure that we have adequate mechanisms in place to receive public comment on public hearings. Also, as like I mentioned, this is closed right now, so it is not urgent. May I have a motion, please, from one of our board members to adjourn the public hearing to Tuesday, April 14th, 2020?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. So before I get into my announcements, I am very happy and pleased to let you know that our county executive, George Latimer, is on the line with us today, joining us via our Zoom meeting. And he's here to give us a little bit of an update from the county about the coronavirus's impact and the actions that the county has been taking to date. We are extremely grateful for all the hard work that the county has been doing, coordinating information from the state. And can I ask everybody just to mute their line if they're not speaking? Just in case you have background noise, that would be helpful, I think. We're very happy to have him here just to give us a little bit of an update, and then we'll get into our regular agenda. So County Executive Latimer, welcome and thank you, and please bring us some of your knowledge and expertise.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Supervisor, and to the members of the board. I appreciate your courtesy. I'll try to be quick. Want to cover some basic groundwork with you that we hope is helpful. Take any of your questions and then let you get on with the rest of your evening. I'm joined online by Ellen Hendricks, who is our Assistant Director of Intergovernmental Relations, and she is the person who serves as the ongoing immediate contact for the town on any of these issues when they arise, not just on coronavirus, but on any of them. You know, we start with the numbers. The governor announced today that statewide, New York State has had 25,665 cases, positive cases of coronavirus, and that is far and away greater than any other state in the nation. Westchester County has 3,891 cases, and keep in mind that 3 weeks ago yesterday, we had our first case. So we've gone from 1 to 3,891 in the space of 3 weeks. Even a week ago today, we had 380 cases. So in 1 week, we've multiplied by 10 the number of positives we've had. Now, part of that is because Westchester has the greatest aggressive testing that's going on in any county in the nation. We have tested more people per capita than any other county in the United States. And of course, the more you test, the more positives you're going to find. For your purposes in Ossining, the town of Ossining outside of the villages has 7 cases at this point, according to our statistics. There are 35 cases in the village of Ossining. Then there are 9 cases in Briarcliff Manor, and I can't break down how many of those fall within Ossining versus how many fall within the town of Mount Pleasant. But just to give you an idea of where they stand, countywide, the larger the city, the more the cases. New Rochelle, of course, was known as the place where the outbreak was first really identified. Yonkers being the largest city in the county, they run 1 and 2. White Plains, Mount Vernon, Greenberg are all the rest of the top 5. And as you can imagine, the smaller communities, Buchanan, Pound Ridge, North Salem, all have 0 or 1 case. So what we're seeing is that this is fairly widespread and proportionate to the number of people in the communities. And that is neither good news nor bad news, but it does reflect, again, I think, the testing. The county has set aside Glen Island parking lot down in New Rochelle for the state to come in with Northwell Health to do a testing center. That opened almost 2 weeks ago. The Westchester Medical Center has a center that they've opened up within the last week that is targeted for their clients, but it will also open to the public at some point. I understand the St. John's Hospital in Yonkers is going to do that as well. And we still have teams of state and county Department of Health nurses going out to doing in-home testing, which is how we started this. The numbers that they can do is very small, but it adds to the list of all of the ones that we can test. I would tell you that we've advocated for a testing location in northern Westchester that would make it more convenient for the people in the northern part of the county. We've offered up the FDR Park in Yorktown off of the Taconic as a possible site that the county controls and would turn over to the state if they see fit, and we'll see what they decide to do. Our biggest concern is that at some point in time, we're going to get about 20% of all the people that test positive are going to become sick enough to be hospitalized. There are slightly over 3,000 hospital beds in Westchester County and about 160 ICU beds. If you use the current number, 4,000 people, if you had 20% hospitalized, which we do not have that many people hospitalized, we would run 800 people in the hospital. Now, with 3,000 beds, we would have enough satisfactory to that number. But if that number goes up by a dramatic multiple, it's gone up 10 times in the last week. If that number would have jumped from 4,000 to 20,000, then all of a sudden we're talking about a serious number of people that could, in theory, need hospitalization at the same time. And of that portion that's hospitalized, about a quarter of them are so seriously sick that they need ICU capacity. And right now there's only 160 ICU beds in the county. So that is why the county has turned over the county center to the State Department of Health to allow them to come in and set up a temporary hospital beds there. I don't know if the county center alone will be enough. We may need some additional hospital beds beyond that. But this whole idea of flattening out the curve by social distancing and staying home from work and all that is designed to make the peak amount of hospital use conform with the peak amount of available uses. There is no antiviral that you can administer that will cure the disease. So you have to work through the normal process of the person's antibodies and so forth. So therefore, you try to keep the number of hospital stays down, and hopefully we'll get a handle on this. But the county is doing what it can with its facilities. Our County Office of Emergency Services is receiving requests for PPE, which is personal protective equipment, things like gloves, masks, gowns, and so forth that you would wear to protect yourself if you're going to interact with people that have the contagion, and then also hand sanitizer products. And as the requests come into the EOC, they go up to Albany. Albany provides it to us, and then we distribute it through the towns. And they go to the towns in order to distribute to the villages. So Ossining Village and perhaps Briarcliff Manor Village would go through the town in order to get their stash of goods. If there's anything we can do to help advance that process, your supervisor, your professional staff can give us the push. You're welcome to call me. You're welcome to call Catherine Borgia, your county legislator, who is very effective in being able to lobby for you. And I'm sure that between Catherine, myself, and others, we'll be able to help it. It's a good thing that our Director of Communications and our Chief of Staff both happen to reside in Ossining. So they're always talking about Ossining at the top of the list every chance they get. Our Beeline buses now have no fare. because we are allowing only rear entry into the Beeline bus. So as the bus's routes go up and down Route 9, wherever else they travel through your community, people get on and get off in the back. They do not interact with the fare box or the driver in the front of the box. We've cordoned off the first few rows. And the reason is to protect the driver's health, so that the driver does not come in contact with lots of people they don't know. And then in theory, they could get the virus that way. And if we lose bus drivers who are out sick, then we can't run the routes. So we've got to protect the bus drivers so that we can at least provide the transportation. And we're going to have to forego the fare, which comes at a bad time because we're all getting a nosedive in sales tax revenue, and our expenses are spiking because of emergency services. But that's where we are with Beeline buses. The county park system is open. We are encouraging social distancing as much as possible. But because there's no sports, because there's no entertainment, theaters, there's no restaurants and bars and so forth, we want to make sure we at least have outdoor recreation that's appropriate for people to use. Now, we have not closed the golf courses, so Hudson Hills and the rest are open. They're open because golf is not a contact sport, unlike basketball, touch football, and most of the other sports that you can think of. If you want to go bicycling, you can do that. If you want to go hiking or running, you can do that. In golf, because you can space yourself at the tee box and space yourself on the green, allows for that as well. We've limited 1 cart per person. We hope that's being followed. And if it is, then it creates for us an acceptable recreation means for people to have. Unfortunately, we have to close our kiddie playgrounds in county parks because we can't ensure the safety of the kids when they touch equipment and potentially the virus gets on the equipment. We can't sanitize it between every use effectively. So we've kept the kiddie playgrounds closed. Seems a little unfair that the kids can't go to the playground, but dad can golf. But that's a function of what we think we can and can't do. But the parks are open. If anything comes to change that, we'll certainly let you know. We have our economic development team is working on serving as a clearinghouse of basic information for businesses that are having a rough go of it. And we know that they are. And not just the restaurants and the bars and the beauty salons that are closed, but every business is seeing a major drop-off because people are staying home. They're not going out to shop. They're not using the services if they can avoid using it. Bridget Gibbons, our director, is trying to pull together information to make available to small businesses. There's not a lot right now. We really need the federal government to put together a stimulus package. I guess that's what they're working on in Washington now. But whenever it materializes, we'll know what it is, and we'll share the information with everybody, and we'll work through the Chamber of Commerce as well. We have a hotline in effect, 211. We get about 1,200 to 1,500 calls a day, which really jams the lines up. We have established an email address for questions, COVID-19 FAQ at westchester.com. If you go onto our website, you'll see it there. We have information in Spanish as well as English, basic information. But then if someone has been identified to get a test, then they go to a different hotline. And this is after their doctor has issued a prescription for a test to be given. We wish we could test everybody unilaterally, but there's not enough test kits available to do that. So there is some prioritization and some strategies that are in place. As issues come up, we'll try to deal with them individually. We know that there's so many other things that we'd have to address, but I'll stop for now because I know you want to have a succinct board meeting on your other topics. Madam Supervisor, I'm happy to answer any questions as you see fit, and then I'll wish you all a safe evening.
Okay, so thank you so much. And you have been providing this information to us regularly, and I've been sharing the summaries with our board. I would just like to ask if any of the town board members have any questions for County Executive. The only thing that I will say is that we have been getting a lot of requests in for PPE. We're still waiting for some of the materials to come in from our first order, and we plan to send in another order tomorrow. So again, that's going to be from Briarcliff and the 2 Austenings, and then also if any of our school districts or other organizations that are serving our public right now that might need it, and our first responders need anything additionally. So you will be getting the EOC will be getting another request from us.
And feel free to reach out if for any reason there's an excessive delay. Don't hesitate, and we'll do whatever we have to do to push it along.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we did just get one piece of the first request, and that was at least a week ago. So I'm curious, because if it's just going to be coming piecemeal, do we know, have we seen that everything's coming in lately or not? Do you happen to know?
Well, I have to confess, it's all over the ballpark. We don't, we're in the position of pushing the state, and we're one of X number, 60 or so counties that are pushing the state for our share. So just like you're one of so many towns pushing us, we're doing the same. We're also trying to find some independent avenues for PPEs at the very least. The state is producing the hand sanitizer, so that makes that much more available to us. But, we got to try harder because we know that we can't afford for any of these entities to run out of PPEs, and they go through them pretty quickly when they're dealing with people that have contagion.
Right, and we know that I think the governor had set up a way for people to actually donate, or businesses to donate personal protective equipment. So that's happening. I think the county legislator Borgia just shared that information out today in one of her e-blasts. So I'll share that again a little bit later in the evening. Did the
Great.
board members, any of our town board members have any questions for the county executive? Sorry.
No.
Will the ambulance corps be included in getting the PPEs? In the
Yes,
person-
they're part of whatever request you submit.
Okay.
Anybody else? Thank you so much, George. We very much appreciate your time this evening and all of the time that you have been putting into making sure that we are, to the best extent possible, a little bit of a step ahead of the curve in trying to slow it down. And we are partners with you, and we appreciate your partnership back with us. So thank you so much for your time tonight.
Dana, thank you very much, and the best to everybody. Be safe, and we'll see you on a happier day.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
Okay, so again, that was something that we've been getting on a regular basis, but overall, all of us have been just adjusting to what New York is calling on pause, or New York on pause. So what it looks like here for us in Ossining, since the governor announced on Monday that all non-essential businesses should be reduced by 100%, is ever changing. As of today, as you heard, we heard that there were 7 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in unincorporated town, which is up from 4 that were reported yesterday. What the county executive didn't mention, but he has been talking about with us on the calls, is we are on delay. So even though that's what has been reported back to us, that's only after the state gets the information, reports it to the people who have received this report, that that are the ones who are positive, the patients. Then it goes to the county, and then the county can tell us what our numbers are. So again, it's a delay by at least a couple of days, and that's even a delay because the testing results we are hearing can take anywhere from 1 to 4 days to get back to the patients. So everything's slowed down, and as a result of that, we have to continue to do our very best to stay in place and have the least contact we possibly can with the outside world, and that's how we can slow down the curve and slow down the spread. Let me just see where I talked about the lag a little bit. Our town offices are closed to the public, as you know, since last Tuesday, March 17th, and many of our employees have transitioned to working from home or staggered shifts. The New York State order that closed our justice court was for at least 45 days from when the order was, which was, I think, last week. We also made the decision to close town parks and cemeteries to gatherings of people. And the governor, since we did that, directed in Executive Order 202.10 that all non-essential gatherings of individuals of any size for any reason, for example, parties, celebrations, or social events, be canceled or postponed. So again, we were, ahead of that a little bit in saying that we didn't want people to be congregating in our parks and open spaces. But the good news is that there are things that have not changed. All our town offices continue to be ready and willing and able to serve you as best they can, except for our court, which is closed. All departments are available by phone, even if staff members are not physically in the office. But please do remember to be patient, as staff may be on another call or not able to take your call immediately, but they will get back to you. We also know it is important for people to get outdoors for fresh air and exercise. So that's why our parks are still open for solitary exercise like walking, hiking, bicycling, and more. As we heard again from the county executive, that this is important. We want to make sure that everybody does participate in those more solitary activities. So we ask people to please be smart. The goal of these policy changes is to prevent large group gatherings in an effort to curb the spread of this illness. Our emergency services are up and running, ready to help people, although their windows may be closed to the public. Our first responders, the Austin Police and OVAC, deserve huge thanks, and along with our healthcare workers, are truly the heroes right now. We're doing all we can to ensure our first responders are protected to the greatest extent possible, which includes coordinating donations of personal protective equipment. So please stay tuned for details, because we're going to be working on that in the coming days. And I did mention that I just received the information about New York State needing the PPE, which includes masks, gowns, and gloves. So if companies are able to supply this crucial gear for healthcare workers, New York will pay a premium and offer funding. For funding, you can call 212-803-3110. Or if you have unused supplies that you want to donate or get paid for, call 646-522-8477 or email covid19supplies@exec.ny.gov. We're going to try to do a little bit better job of coordinating that here locally for you through our Austin Volunteer Ambulance Corps. The Village of Austin continues to coordinate weekly food drops with Feeding Westchester, utilizing village and town staff and some volunteers, and in partnership with Star of Bethlehem Baptist Church, Austin CAP, Galata House, and others. Currently, families may pick up food at the community center on Tuesdays and Fridays from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Market Square from 12 to 2, and Star of Bethlehem Church on Spring Street from 4 to 7. We also just learned today that Galata House has secured additional meals available this week on Thursday from 4 to 6 in the Stop and Shop parking lot. They're also hoping to offer the same on Saturday, location to be announced. This is a hot meal of fried chicken and mashed potatoes, and I believe they have approximately 350 to give away. So that's, again, from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Stop and Shop parking lot this Thursday. Donations continue to be accepted for meal giveaways at galatahouse.org. Also, thanks to the quick thinking of our town clerk, Suzanne Donnelly, a few of us participated in a meal train today to send meals to healthcare workers at Phelps. If you would like to do the same, you can go to mealtrain.com, and here it gets a little complicated, to be specific, /trains/NN as in Nancy 762/volunteer/64 Z as in zebra 36 G as in girl. So hopefully that will help you, and I think it's got a secure HTTPS:// and hopefully that'll take you to the right link to donate specifically through mealtrain.com to Phelps Hospital. It's possible you can also just search on the site. I did not find it particularly easy to do so, so that's why I'm giving you the whole URL. We continue to coordinate closely with our municipal neighbors and partners in the county and state government. As you heard, our staff is regularly participating in conference calls with the county executive's office, and they're filtering some of the information also coming from the state. We also receive from our council, our town council, as well as our labor council, regular interpretations of the executive orders. We receive the countywide updates, and we've been collaborating with officials in other communities to enable us to make decisions in the best interest of the health and safety of our constituents. I know a concern on a lot of people's minds is the town and county tax bill due in April. You will likely be receiving your bill in the mail in the coming days, and bills will also be available online in the same time frame. We have not yet heard from the governor's office of a decision to extend the deadline for these property taxes. However, we continue to evaluate any and all opportunities that are both legally and fiscally available to the town and the entities that we collect for to ease the financial burden on our residents while still being able to stay afloat so we can maintain and provide town services to you. We understand that so many of us are experiencing unprecedented personal and professional financial challenges, and we certainly do not want to compound these challenges. However, we have a legal obligation to the county, the ambulance district, the school districts, and more entities to make them whole. Not collecting taxes would create a huge financial liability that would be devastating for all of us. So we have a lot of hard decisions to make in the coming weeks, but please know that we are doing so carefully, working as much as possible with our neighboring municipalities to be thoughtful and responsible and to be working with the best interests of you, our community, in mind. Do any of my board colleagues have any questions or comments regarding our ongoing response to this crisis before we get into our agenda?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. Okay, so just one more thing before we continue with our agenda. I wanted to remind everyone that you should have received your invitation to respond to the 2020 census. Please check your mailboxes and respond online or via phone. I did it myself on my phone using my smartphone, and it was easy. If you did not receive the first notice, another one should be on its way soon. Local field operations for the census have been closed for at least 2 weeks, but in-person enumerations for properties that did not yet respond online or via phone are still set to begin on May 1st. I know we're all very mindful of knocks on the doors these days, so responding online or via phone helps you to avoid those person-to-person contacts. Something that I found out today from our Ossining Counts Committee e-blast was that even if college students have returned home, and we still should not be counting them if they are supposed to be at school, because schools do count the college students. So many of you may have made that mistake, which I did, because I responded so quickly I didn't have that guidance. And I reported my college student at home because he was home and he was going to be home on April 1st. But I'm now learning that that was a mistake. So I hope to inform others so that they don't make that same mistake. And there is more information going out regularly through our Ossining County Committee. So please keep in touch with that. And we just got some additional information translated into Spanish, and we hope to share that out with you very soon. With that, I will call for any other announcements from my board colleagues or liaison reports.
Nope.
Big shout out to my liaison, the fire department, the ambulance. They're really working hard, keeping everybody safe, and just want to give them a thank you.
Absolutely. Doing a great job. I think we just heard the fire whistle going as we were starting this meeting, so we know that everybody's out there and oftentimes putting themselves in harm's way, and we ask that they continue to stay with these best practices of wearing as much as possible the personal protective equipment so that we keep them safe and available to continue to help others. Okay, so we're going to move right into our board resolutions. Madam Clerk?
Approval of the voucher detail report. Resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining hereby approves the voucher detail report dated March 24th, 2020 in the amount of $108,186.83.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion, questions? All those in favor of that? I just want to say that business of the town does continue. Much of it is being done online from people's homes, but otherwise as usual. So thank you to our departmental staff and finance office for churning out pay our vendors even under these difficult circumstances, and also thank you to our clerk for collecting the mail. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. And you know what? I'm just going to ask if we can, just to make it a little bit easier, if there's any question, but if our deputy supervisor could make the motion, and then whoever raises their hand first could second, it'll just make it a little easier for everybody at home. Just raise your hands if you're going to second, okay? Okay, so moving right along, we are going into Resolution B.
Approval of the contract for the CSEA Benefit Fund. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining authorizes the supervisor to sign the renewal agreement with the CSEA Employee Benefit Fund, Latham, New York, for the purpose of providing vision insurance under CSEA's Platinum 12 Vision Plan at a monthly rate of $13.35 for single coverage and $36.21 for family coverage per employee from January 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2021.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. So our CSEA and management staff have the opportunity to receive vision insurance via the CSEA Benefit Fund. It seems as if, for whatever reason, the latest contract renewal for our current collective bargaining agreement with CSEA slipped through the cracks. And we've been administering this program with the new rates since 2018, so we're just tying up loose ends here. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Appointment, seasonal intermediate clerk. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining reappoints Dana White Ossining to the position of seasonal intermediate clerk at an hourly rate of $25 to be paid by the Local Government Records Management Improvement Fund grant from the New York State Archives, effective March 23rd, 2020.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so you might remember that we kicked off a project last summer that was being funded entirely by a grant from the New York State Archives. The project included inventorying our inactive records and purchasing shelving for a new inactive records storage facility at the John Paul Rodriguez Operations Center, all funded by grant funding. Somehow, in the middle of regularly disinfecting all town and village buildings on a regular basis, village building maintenance lead John Heitman managed to coordinate and oversee the delivery and installation of the new shelving system. So thank you, John. We're bringing back on Dana White and Shannon Riley to assist on a staggered schedule with a move of the records and to get us all organized. They will only be working one at a time, so not to worry. They will be utilizing the state social distancing practices, and we believe that that is okay to do to continue our operations. So that's going to be the next two resolutions, but just this one is the one that we're voting on to appoint Dana White. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Appointment, seasonal intermediate clerk. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining reappoints Shannon Riley, Briarcliff Manor, to the position of seasonal intermediate clerk at the rate of $25 an hour to be paid by the Local Government Records Management Improvement Fund grant from New York State Archives, effective March 23rd, 2020.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And just to be clear, this money was already encumbered by New York State, and a chunk of it has already been paid to the town. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you.
Stipulation of agreement, Teamsters. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the town supervisor, the stipulation of agreement between town, IBT Local 456, and John Orlando be hereby ratified and approved.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Non-disclosure agreement with Westchester County. Resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor and the chief of police to enter into a non-disclosure agreement with Westchester County regarding the exchange of information related to COVID-19 pandemic effective March 16th, 2020.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. With that, I do not believe that I have any monthly reports. So I would ask for a motion to adjourn to executive session for advice of counsel and personnel.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody, for joining us for our very first Zoom town board meeting. Our next scheduled town board meeting will be on Tuesday, April 14th. If you have any questions or concerns in the meantime, please do not hesitate to contact us at 914-762-6001 or via email tc@townofboston.com. We will continue to provide any updates as needed, and we're doing our best to make our website even easier to find all of this information. So please be safe and healthy, and have a good night.